Watch and burn.
Hey everyone. So tonight I want to talk about Off's the first four EPs. And thank God that Off exists. Because if you're looking for that sort of honestly aggressive guitar play that Black Flag had perfected decades and decades back, but you can't really seem to find it consistently anywhere, you need to look no further. Because Off is Keith Morris, who's one of the old vocalists from Black Flag. It is him and his fellow bandmates who have been in a bunch of other bands, and they've been around forever. It's them taking a page out of Black Flag's playbook and yet turning that play into something completely unique and their own. There in no way is Morris and company attempting to borrow from his past with Black Flag, and even to a smaller degree, even though I will argue this band doesn't sound much like the Circle Jerks, but just because Keith Morris's voice is involved, you can't help but run parallels in your head about the Circle Jerks being involved somehow. And this is Black Flag. This is like never-ending, continuous new Black Flag that as of 2022 are still consistently putting out music. And their guitar work, like all of Off's guitar work, is so raw and so attractive sounding because it sounds, their guitars sound just as unhinged and sort of like angry. And it's sort of like, it's almost like their guitars sort of mirror. Like, that's what I always found, what I loved about Black Flag was their guitars would mirror the nihilism in the lyrics so well. And I've never really been able to find that with any other band, you know? I found other bands whose lyrics complement the music, and the music complements the lyrics, of course. But I've never been able to find like a guitar sound that's that sort of fucking raw and that naturally angry. It was like when Greg Ginn used to plug in. He seemed like a really subdued guy, but like once he plugged in that fucking guitar, it was like he got out all of his aggression through his fingers, you know? And like I said, I've never really been able to sort of reconnect with that sound through any other band until Off. Off has totally sort of upgraded the Black Flag blueprint to the point where they have their own thing going and nobody's ever going to be able to accuse them of living in the past, because Off is incredibly new sounding and yet they're incredibly old sounding as well. Usually the first four EPs, the record that I am discussing here today, traditionally with a band, when it's their first four EPs, you know, that sound, it may hold for their entire career, but it's going to be so young and it's going to be so raw and it's going to be so unfocused that you could always go back and sort of look at a band at the beginning and a band in the middle and a band near the end of their lifespan and be able to identify where they were. And you can say, oh wow, they sounded so young here. Look, they don't even bother doing that anymore in their later stuff. You can see that they grew out of it or whatever. But with Off being such seasoned and experienced musicians and coming from the pedigree that they do, no, man, the first four EPs, it just sounds like Off. Everything they do sounds like this because these guys aren't young when they did their first handful of EPs, you know? Like, these guys have been around forever. Keith Morris has been in the punk scene, forever. And so the first four EPs, what I like about it is there's already a heavy sense of consistency. There isn't that sort of disassociation where you're like, oh yeah, their earlier stuff, I love it compared to their newer stuff. I don't like their newer stuff. Or I like their newer stuff. I don't love their earlier stuff. Off has continued to evolve and they've gotten stronger and better, and yet they sound exactly the same as they did on these first four EPs. And I like that because I love how they sound on here. And I love the fact that it sounds like Black Flag, but it's not Black Flag. And I love how it's a nod to the past without ripping off the past. This feels so honest. It doesn't feel like Morris and company are attempting to cash in on something Morris did 4 or 5 decades back. This just feels like the next evolutionary step in his career. I think that's probably the best way of putting it. So I will leave it there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for almost 5 minutes while I discussed Off's first one, the first 4 EPs. Like always, if you like this review, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. But most importantly, don't forget that you guys are all amazing. and I hope you are all having an awesome day or night or whenever it is you're watching this. See you around. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe, and we will see you guys really soon.